Hello there, I have been waiting for you. Your point of interest was friendships, especially during the Victorian era, correct? Welcome to the archive. I am the Archivist. I take care of our collections here and will be your guide this evening. If you are ready, shall we start the tour? In the 19th century England and America, people were divided into two genders, men and women. During this time, it was thought to be normal and most of the time encouraged that men and women would form very close friendships with the same sex. These relationships were very intimate in nature, physically and emotionally. Different kinds of actions of love were a norm. The relationships were called romantic friendships. They were seen as part of growing into adulthood. The lines of platonic and romantic actions were very blurry for the people of that time period, as well as for the history researchers of today. For example, John and Glenn here. They met each other through family friends and soon became very close friends. John and Glenn spend a lot of time together and constantly write letters to each other. Especially John wants to show his love by buying presents for Glenn. Glenn, on the other hand, tends to give flowers to John since he likes them so much. They both enjoy long walks in the park while holding hands. Afterwards, it is very comfortable to relax by the fire, cuddling and drinking hot tea. It is interesting to wonder what kinds of spaces these types of friendships offer to the queer people of that time period. The relationships created opportunities to discover and experiment sexuality and gender, both for the queers, but also for those who were straight and cisgendered. Romantic friendships included homoeroticism, but they were not seen as homosexual. Some of these relationships were platonic friendships, just like John and Glenn. They would later on most likely get married with women and leave their deep friendship behind and move on to family life. Especially for women, these kinds of friendships were seen to be natural, because womanhood was commonly understood as both unsexual and highly emotional. This is why women were even able to live together in the same household when it was thought to be a suitable time to get married, especially if they both had chosen career over married life. Like Mary and Betty, they lived together in a charming flat, enjoying the freedom of their own space. Mary loves the closeness and company of Betty, but is mostly interested in reading erotic poetry. They also love to read it together. Betty, on the other hand, wants to be very close to Mary, and their reading sessions often end up in the bedroom. Men were more often expected to end these kind of relationships at a certain age, when it was time to get married and start a family. Like Edmund and Henry here, they met during the beginning of their student days and are soon to be graduated. Edmund cannot wait to find a suitable woman to marry, even though he does love Henry dearly and feels sad that their friendship has to end. Henry feels terrified thinking about the future without Edmund. Finding a wife and having children doesn't feel appealing to him at all. They have decided to spend the remaining time together to the fullest, as long as it still lasts. Scholars have debated over what could be the cause of forming these types of friendships, and one explanation is in the construction of gender binary during that time period. Men and women mostly spent their time among themselves. They had their own same-sex inclusive spaces. For example, boy and girl schools were these types of environments. Women's college in Wellesley even had their own definition for Wellesley marriage. If, after finishing her studies, she did not want to get married, but preferred to live with another woman as roommates, a friendship might have started during the studying period, like with Ethel and Grace. They met in college and immediately after graduating moved together. At home, they can be freely themselves. Especially Ethel, who doesn't like wearing women's clothes. When at home, he is able to dress up as Edgar, without judgment. Interesting, is it not? Unfortunately, our time is running out. The tour ends here. Queer history is fascinating, and especially now scholars have a very important role in its research and development. Today, we got to dive into Victorian queer-platonic friendships, how the gay, lesbian, bisexual, asexual, and trans people at the time period could have had spaces to express their sexuality and gender. We could discuss about romantic friendships way longer. My humble tour was just a scratch off the surface. If you are interested in the topic, I encourage you to take a reading list by that table over there on your way out. I thank you for your time and interest in the topic. I hope to see you soon. Remember to take your coats and be careful on the steps. It has already gotten dark out there. Until we meet again, my dear visitors.